Park Dae-ho stepped off the transport ship and looked around the massive space station. The Galactic Academy of Advanced Sciences was bigger than anything he had ever seen. Tall crystal towers reached up toward the stars, and strange alien students walked through the halls. Some had 4 arms, others breathed different gases, and a few looked like living rocks. Dae-ho carried a small bag with his few belongings. He was 20 years old and came from a farming colony on the edge of human space. His parents grew food on a dangerous planet where wild animals and deadly storms were normal. Getting accepted to the academy was the biggest thing that ever happened. To his family, "You must be the human," said a voice behind him. Dae-ho turned around to see a woman with kind eyes and black hair. She wore the blue uniform of academy staff. "Yes, I am Park Dae-ho," he said with a small bow. "I am Kim So-ra. I help human students here at the academy. There are not many of us yet." She smiled and picked up his bag. "Come, I will show you around." As they walked through the halls, other students stared at Dae-ho. He heard whispers in different alien languages, but some words he understood. Deathworlder. Dangerous. Monster. The alien students moved away when he got close. "Do not worry about them," Kim So-ra said quietly. "They fear what they do not understand. Humans have a bad reputation in the galaxy." "What kind of reputation?" Dae-ho asked. "They think we are killers because we come from dangerous worlds. They call Earth and human colonies death worlds because the plants and animals there can kill most alien species. They think this makes us violent." Dae-ho frowned. His home planet was dangerous, but his family were farmers, not warriors. They learned to live with dangerous animals, not fight them. But he said nothing. Kim So-ra showed him to his small room. It had a bed, a desk, and a window that looked out at the stars. "Classes start tomorrow. Your first class is xenobiology with Professor Veltar. He is fair, but strict." That night, Dae-ho lay in bed and listened to the strange sounds of the space station. Air moved through vents, machines hummed, and sometimes he heard alien voices in the halls. He thought about his parents and their farm. They would be proud of him, but he felt very alone. The next morning, Dae-ho found the xenobiology classroom. It was a large room with high ceilings and strange equipment everywhere. Glass tanks held different alien creatures, and screens showed pictures of planets and animals from across the galaxy. About 30 students sat in the room. Most were tall, thin aliens with blue skin called Cathtar. A few were living crystal beings called Vorthak who made musical sounds when they talked. There were also some gas-breathing Helix students who wore special masks. Professor Veltar was a Cathtar with white markings on his blue skin. His large eyes looked at each student as they came in. When he saw Dae-ho, he paused for a moment, then nodded. "Welcome, students, to Advanced Xenobiology," the professor said. His voice was deep and calm. "This semester, you will study the most dangerous life forms in the galaxy. You will learn how they hunt, how they kill, and how they survive." A crystal student named Nixara made a musical sound that meant surprise. "Professor, is it safe to have a human in this class? Their species is known for violence." Other students made agreeing sounds. Dae-ho felt his face get warm, but he stayed quiet. Professor Veltar held up one long finger. "Miss Nixara, we do not judge students by their species. We judge them by their actions and their minds. Mr. Park is here because he earned his place, just like all of you. The professor walked to the front of the room and touched a control panel. The lights dimmed, and a large screen showed pictures of different planets. Today we will talk about adaptation, he said. Life finds ways to survive in the most impossible places. Some creatures live in the cold of space. Others swim in oceans of acid. And some, he looked at Daeho, evolve on worlds so dangerous that most species cannot even visit them. The screen showed Earth, green and blue and beautiful, but then the pictures changed. Storms that could destroy cities, animals with huge teeth and claws, plants that could poison or eat other creatures. This is what we call a death world, Professor Veltar said. Most of you could not survive on this planet for one day without protection. The air has too much oxygen. The gravity is too strong. The life forms are too aggressive, but humans evolved there. They adapted. Nixara made a worried sound. Does this make them dangerous to us? That, said the professor, is what we will study. Next week, we will have a practical examination. You will work in pairs to observe and document dangerous alien organisms. This will test your knowledge and your courage. After class, Daeho walked alone through the halls. Other students still stared and whispered. In the cafeteria, he sat by himself and ate food that tasted strange but was safe for humans. Kim So-ra found him there. How was your first class? The professor seems fair, Daeho said, but the other students are afraid of me. They think I am dangerous. Maybe you are, she said with a small smile. But not in the way they think. Humans have survived things. That would kill other species. That is not the same as being evil. The professor said we will work with dangerous creatures next week. Kim So-ra nodded. Be careful, Daeho. Some of the creatures they study here are very deadly. Even experienced scientists have been killed working with them. That evening, Daeho studied in his room. He read about different alien species and their biology. Some were fascinating, others were terrifying. He learned about creatures that could dissolve metal with their spit, animals that hunted by reading thoughts, and plants that could move faster than most vehicles. As he read, he thought about his home. His family's farm had dangerous animals, too. Thunderwolves that hunted in packs, acid slugs that could eat through metal, thorn cats that could jump 50 feet and had claws like knives, but his family had learned to live with them. They studied the animals, learned their habits, and found ways to coexist. Maybe that knowledge would help him here. The next few days passed slowly. Daeho attended classes and tried to make friends, but most alien students avoided him. Only one student, a nervous helix named Lee Jin-woo, would talk to him. Jin-woo was an exchange student, too, and he understood what it felt like to be alone. I am scared of the practical exam, Jin-woo admitted one day. They were eating lunch together, in the cafeteria. My species does not handle danger well. We panic easily. What will we study? Daeho asked. Professor Veltar has not told us yet, but I heard rumors. They say one of the creatures is a Thanix Reaper. Daeho had read about Thanix Reapers in his studies. They were perfect predators with acid blood, sharp claws, and poison that could kill most species in seconds. Even the military was afraid of them. We will be partners for the exam, Jin-woo said. I am sorry you got stuck with me. I know I will not be much help if something goes wrong. Daeho looked at his new friend. Jin-woo was kind and smart, even if he was scared. Do not worry, Daeho said. We will be careful and work together. Everything will be fine." But as he said the words, Deho wondered if he was right. Working with deadly creatures was dangerous even for experienced scientists. For students, it could be deadly. He thought about his parents and hoped he would see them again. The practical exam was only 3 days away. The practical exam day arrived with cold air and bright lights in the xenobiology lab. Deho and Jinwoo stood with the other student pairs outside the main laboratory. Through thick glass windows, they could see several containment units, each holding different alien creatures. Professor Veltar stood before the class wearing a serious expression. Next to him was a tall, armored figure that Deho had never seen before. "Students, this is Commander Thexel, head of station security," the professor announced. "He is here because today you will work with some of the most dangerous life forms in the galaxy." Commander Thexel stepped forward. His voice was deep and mechanical through his helmet. "Safety protocols are not suggestions today. They are the difference between life and death. Any student who does not follow exact procedures will be removed immediately." Jinwoo made a nervous whistling sound that his species made when scared. Deho put a hand on his friend's shoulder to calm him. "Each pair will spend 30 minutes observing one creature," Professor Veltar continued. "You will document its behavior, physical characteristics, and hunting patterns. Most of you will work with Class B dangerous organisms. However, one pair will work with our most challenging specimen." The professor touched his control pad, and one of the containment units became visible. Inside was a creature that made several students step backward in fear. The Thanix Reaper was beautiful and terrible at the same time. It was about the size of a large human, with 6 limbs that ended in razor-sharp claws. Its skin was black, with silver patterns that seemed to move in the light. Most frightening were its eyes, bright yellow and clearly intelligent. "This," Professor Veltar said, "is a Thanix Reaper. It can run faster than most vehicles. Its claws can cut through military armor, and its bite delivers a neurotoxin that kills most species within minutes. Its blood is acidic enough to dissolve metal." Nixara made a crystal sound of fear. "Professor, surely no student should work with such a creature." "The Reaper is contained in a military-grade stasis field," Commander Thexel explained. "It cannot move or wake up while the field is active. Students will observe from a safe distance using sensors and cameras." Professor Veltar looked at his class list. "The pair assigned to the Thanix Reaper will be Park Deho and Lee Jinwoo." Jinwoo made a sound like air escaping from a balloon. Other students looked at Deho with expressions of pity and fear. Some seemed relieved they would not face the deadly creature themselves. "Is that safe, Professor?" asked one Kethtar student. "Humans are from death worlds, but this creature could kill anything." "Mr. Park will have the same safety equipment and protocols as any researcher," the professor said firmly. "The examination is about observation and analysis, not combat." As other pairs began their work with less dangerous creatures, Deho and Jinwoo were led to a separate observation chamber. Dr. Yun-Hai Jin, a human scientist, appeared on a communication screen to provide guidance. "Hello, Deho," Dr. Yun said with a smile. "I will be monitoring your session from the research station. Remember, you are completely safe as long as the stasis field remains active." The observation chamber had thick walls and multiple safety doors. Inside the containment area, the Thanix Reaper hung motionless in a glowing energy field. Even unconscious, it looked deadly. "Begin your observations," Professor Veltar said through the communication system. "You have 30 minutes to complete your documentation." Deho looked at the creature carefully. Its body was built for speed and killing. The muscle structure reminded him of the thorn cats from his home planet, but much more advanced. Its claws were positioned perfectly for grabbing and cutting. Even sleeping, its breathing pattern showed incredible efficiency. Jinwoo tried to take readings with his instruments, but his hands shook so much he could barely hold them. "I cannot do this, Daeho. My species is not built for this kind of stress." "It is okay," Daeho said calmly. "Focus on the data readings. I will observe its physical structure." As they worked, Daeho noticed something odd about the containment system. Small warning lights were blinking on the control panel. The energy readings seemed unstable. "Dr. Yun," he said to the communication screen, "the stasis field readings look strange." Dr. Yun checked her own monitors. Her face went pale. "Professor Veltar, we have a problem. The power coupling is failing. The stasis field is losing strength." Alarm sounds started blaring throughout the laboratory. Red lights flashed, and automated voices announced emergency procedures. "All students evacuate immediately," Commander Thexel ordered over the communication system. "This is not a drill." The other students ran from their observation chambers and headed for the exits. But Daeho and Jinwoo were locked in the containment observation room for safety reasons. They could not leave until the emergency was over. The Thanix Reaper began to stir. Its yellow eyes opened slowly, and its head turned to look around the containment area. The stasis field flickered like a broken light. Jinwoo collapsed on the floor, overwhelmed by fear. His species had evolved to avoid danger, not face it. When confronted with a deadly predator, their bodies simply shut down to avoid detection. "Jinwoo!" Daeho knelt beside his friend, but the Helix student was unconscious. The Thanix Reaper was fully awake now. It tested the weakening stasis field with one claw, then another. Its intelligent eyes studied the containment system, looking for weaknesses. "Daeho, get away from the containment area!" Dr. Yun shouted through the communication system. "Emergency teams are trying to restore power, but it will take several minutes." Through the observation window, Daeho could see Professor Veltar and Commander Thexel working frantically at control panels. Other students and teachers watched from the evacuation area, their faces filled with horror. The stasis field gave one final flicker and died. The Thanix Reaper stood up slowly, stretching its 6 limbs. It was free, awake, and very dangerous. Its yellow eyes looked around the containment area, then focused on the observation window where Daeho stood. For a moment, human and alien predator stared at each other through the glass. The creature tilted its head as if puzzled by what it saw. "Do not move," Dr. Yun whispered over the communication system. "Do not make any sudden movements. Thanix Reapers hunt by detecting fear and motion." But Daeho was not running or hiding. He stood calmly, watching the creature with the same careful attention he had used to study dangerous animals on his home planet. His heart was beating fast, but his mind was clear. The Thanix Reaper moved toward the containment barrier. Its claws scraped against the energy field that still separated it from the observation chamber. The field sparked and weakened with each touch. "The secondary containment will not hold much longer," Commander Thexel announced. "Emergency teams, prepare for a containment breach." In the evacuation area, students and teachers watched in terror. Some alien species had never seen a Thanix Reaper awake before. Even through multiple barriers and at a safe distance, they could feel the deadly aura of the perfect predator. Nixara made worried crystal sounds. "The human will be killed? Should we not do something?" "There is nothing anyone can do," Professor Veltar said grimly. The emergency teams cannot enter until the creature is contained again. We can only hope the barriers hold long enough to restore the stasis field. But as they watched, the secondary containment field began to fail. The Thanix Reaper pushed against it with growing strength. Its acid blood dripped from small cuts on its claws, eating away at the barrier material. "Breach in 30 seconds, a computer voice announced. Dae-ho looked down at Jin-woo, still unconscious on the floor. Then he looked back at the Thanix Reaper. The creature was close enough now that he could see the intelligence in its yellow eyes. It was not just a mindless killer. It was thinking, planning, deciding what to do next. "I am sorry, my friend," Dae-ho whispered to Jin-woo, "but I think we are about to meet our new classmate face to face." The secondary containment field collapsed with a shower of sparks. The Thanix Reaper stepped into the observation chamber, free and deadly. Everyone watching expected to see a brutal attack. Instead, something unexpected happened. The creature stopped just inside the chamber and looked at Dae-ho with what almost seemed like curiosity. For several seconds, human and alien predator simply studied each other. Then Dae-ho did something that shocked everyone watching. He spoke to it. "Hello," Dae-ho said quietly to the Thanix Reaper. His voice was calm and steady, like he was greeting a neighbor. "You are very beautiful." The alien predator tilted its head, yellow eyes focused on the human who showed no fear. In the evacuation area, students and teachers watched in amazement. No one had ever seen a person talk to a Thanix Reaper before. "What is he doing?" Nixara whispered, her crystal body making worried musical sounds. "He is either very brave or very foolish, Professor," Veltar replied, but his voice carried a note of fascination. The Thanix Reaper took a step closer to Dae-ho. Its claws clicked on the metal floor, and its breathing made a soft hissing sound. But it did not attack. Instead, it seemed to be studying this strange creature that did not run away. Dae-ho had grown up on a planet where dangerous animals were part of daily life. His father had taught him that predators could sense fear like a smell. Animals that were afraid became prey. Animals that were calm and confident were usually left alone. "You are confused, are you not?" Dae-ho continued, speaking in his gentle voice. "You woke up in a strange place with strange smells. Everything here is different from your home." The creature moved closer, now only a few feet away. Its acid drool dripped on the floor, making small holes in the metal. One swipe of its claws could kill Dae-ho instantly. Dr. Yun's voice came through the communication system, barely a whisper. "Dae-ho, what are you doing? Thanix Reapers are pure predators. They cannot be reasoned with." "With respect, Dr. Yun," Dae-ho said without taking his eyes off the creature, "I do not think that is true. Look at its behavior. It is not hunting. It is investigating." And he was right. The Thanix Reaper was not showing hunting behavior at all. Its body was relaxed, not coiled for attack. Its claws were extended but not raised to strike. It was simply observing, just as Dae-ho was observing it. "On my planet, we have thorn cats," Dae-ho explained to everyone listening. "They are deadly predators, but they are also intelligent. If you show fear, they will hunt you. If you show aggression, they will fight you. But if you show calm respect, they will often just watch you and move on." The Thanix Reaper came even closer. Dae-ho could see his reflection in its large yellow eyes. The creature was magnificent, a perfect example of evolution, creating the ultimate hunter. But it was also curious about this strange being that did not behave like prey. Slowly, very slowly, Deho reached up and began removing his protective gear. In the evacuation area, several students made sounds of horror. "He has lost his mind," one Kethtar student said. "The protective gear is the only thing keeping him safe." But Deho knew something the others did not understand. The protective gear made him smell like fear and chemicals. It made him seem like prey trying to hide. Removing it would show the creature that he was not afraid. "Fear has a smell," he explained as he set his breathing mask aside. "All predators can detect it. My gear makes me smell like I am afraid and trying to hide. But I am not afraid, so why should I smell like I am?" The Thanix Reaper watched as Deho removed piece after piece of protective equipment. When the human was down to just his regular clothes, the creature leaned forward and sniffed him. For several terrifying seconds, the deadly predator's head was inches from Deho's face. Its breath was warm and smelled like metal and ozone. One bite could inject enough neurotoxin to kill him before help could arrive, but the Thanix Reaper just sniffed, then stepped back. It made a low sound that was almost like purring. "Incredible," Professor Veltar breathed. "It is showing curiosity behavior, not hunting behavior." Kim So-Ra had arrived in the evacuation area and was watching with amazement. "This is what humans do," she explained to the alien students. "We adapt. We learn. We find ways to coexist with dangerous things instead of just fighting them or running away." The Thanix Reaper began moving around the observation chamber, but it kept Deho in sight. At all times, it was exploring its new environment while keeping track of the interesting creature that showed no fear. "It is treating you like another predator," Dr. Yun said with wonder in her voice. "Thanix Reapers are solitary hunters, but they respect other apex predators. Somehow it sees you as an equal, not as prey." Deho nodded slowly. "On my world, apex predators often ignore each other unless they are competing for food or territory. This creature is not hungry, and this is not its territory. It has no reason to fight me." The Thanix Reaper found Jinwoo's unconscious form and sniffed him carefully. The Helix student's natural fear response had made his body produce chemical signals that said prey to any predator. But because he was unconscious and not moving, the creature lost interest quickly. "Amazing," Commander Thexel said over the communication system. "Emergency teams report that the primary stasis system can be restored in approximately 10 minutes. Can you maintain this situation until then?" "I think so," Deho replied. "But I need to keep it interested in me, not in finding a way out of this room." The Thanix Reaper had discovered the door to the observation chamber and was examining it with its claws. The metal was strong, but the creature's acid blood could eventually eat through it. Deho walked slowly toward the creature. "Would you like to see something interesting?" he asked. The Thanix Reaper turned to look at him, head tilted in what almost looked like curiosity. Deho picked up one of Jinwoo's scanning devices and activated it. The tool made a soft humming sound and projected a holographic display showing the creature's own vital signs. The Thanix Reaper stared at the display, then looked at Deho, then back at the display. "You have never seen technology like this before, have you?" Deho said. "Your species is intelligent, but you do not build tools. You are the tool, the perfect biological weapon." The creature reached out with one claw and gently touched the holographic display. The image flickered and changed, showing different data. The Thanix Reaper made a sound that was almost like laughter. In the evacuation area, students and teachers watched in amazement as human and alien predator interacted like old friends. "How is this possible?" Nixara asked. "Humans are supposed to be violent and dangerous, but he is being gentle with one of the most deadly creatures in the galaxy." "Maybe," Professor Veltar said thoughtfully. "We have misunderstood what it means to be from a death world. We assumed it made humans violent, but perhaps it made them wise." Oh Minji, another human student, had arrived and was watching the scene with pride. "Daeho's family are farmers," she explained. "They grow food on a world where everything is trying to kill you. They learned long ago that fighting everything is impossible. You have to find ways to live with danger, not just destroy it." The Thanix Reaper had found other devices in the room and was examining them with the same careful curiosity. It did not break anything or try to use the tools as weapons. It simply studied them, learning about this new environment. Daeho continued to talk to the creature in his calm, gentle voice. He described the academy, the different alien species, and even his own home planet. The Thanix Reaper listened to every word, even though it probably could not understand the language. It seemed to enjoy the sound of his voice. "5 minutes until stasis restoration," Commander Thexel announced. "Did you hear that?" Daeho said to the creature. "Soon you will go back to sleep. But this has been nice, has it not? Meeting someone new." The Thanix Reaper looked at him with those intelligent yellow eyes. For a moment, Daeho thought he saw something like understanding there. Not just animal intelligence, but true awareness. Then the creature did something that no one expected. It sat down on the floor like a large cat and waited. "It knows, Doctor," Yun whispered over the communication system. "Somehow, it understands that the situation is temporary. It is choosing to wait peacefully instead of trying to escape." The next few minutes passed in comfortable silence. Daeho sat down across from the Thanix Reaper, and they simply looked at each other. Two apex predators from different worlds, sharing a moment of mutual respect. When the stasis field finally activated again, the Thanix Reaper closed its eyes slowly, almost like it was saying goodbye. The energy field surrounded it, and it returned to its motionless state. Daeho stood up and looked at the sleeping creature. "Thank you," he said quietly. "You taught me something important today." The observation chamber doors opened, and emergency teams rushed in to check on Jinwoo and secure the area. But everyone's attention was on Daeho, the human who had faced death and turned it into friendship. Jinwoo woke up slowly, his gas mask fogging with confused breathing. "What happened? Did we survive?" "We are fine," Daeho said with a smile, helping his friend sit up. "The emergency is over. Medical teams checked both students, but they found no injuries." The observation chamber was cleaned of acid damage, and the Thanix Reaper was moved to a more secure containment unit. But the real excitement was just beginning. Professor Veltar called an emergency class meeting. Students and faculty filled the main lecture hall, all wanting to hear about what had happened. News of the incident was already spreading throughout the academy. "Mr. Park," the professor began, "what you did today was either incredibly brave or incredibly foolish. Perhaps both. But it has given us new information about one of the galaxy's most feared predators." Daeho stood at the front of the room, feeling uncomfortable with all the attention. "I just did what seemed natural. The creature was not evil or mindless. It was intelligent and curious." Explain your observations, Professor Veltar said. What did you notice about its behavior? Deho thought carefully before speaking. The Thanix Reaper did not attack because it was not hunting. When it first woke up, it was confused and trying to understand its environment. It tested the barriers not to escape, but to learn about them. A Kethtar student raised her hand. But Thanix Reapers are pure predators. They exist only to kill and consume. That is what we have always believed, Deho replied. But I think we were wrong. Yes, it is a perfect predator, but it is also intelligent. It can choose when to hunt and when not to hunt. Dr. Yun's image appeared on the main screen. She had been analyzing recordings of the entire incident. Deho is correct. The creature's behavior patterns were completely different from what we expected. It showed curiosity, problem-solving ability, and even what appeared to be social interaction. Social interaction? Nixara asked, her crystal body ringing with surprise. Thanix Reapers are solitary hunters. Usually, yes, Dr. Yun agreed. But they must have some form of social behavior, or they could not reproduce. We may have never seen it because we always approach them with fear and weapons. They respond to threats as threats. Professor Veltar looked thoughtful. Mr. Park, you said the creature reminded you of animals from your home world. Can you explain? Deho nodded. On my planet we have thorn cats. They are deadly predators, but they are not always hunting. Most of the time they sleep, explore, or play. They only hunt when they are hungry or feel threatened. I think Thanix Reapers might be similar. Oh Minji, who had been watching from the back of the room, stood up. May I add something, Professor? Of course, Miss O. Humans learn to live with dangerous animals because we have no choice, she said. Our worlds are full of predators, toxic plants, deadly weather, and dangerous terrain. Fighting everything would be impossible. Instead, we learn to understand them and coexist. A Helix student made a worried whistling sound. But this makes humans even more dangerous. If you can control creatures like Thanix Reapers, we cannot control them, Deho said quickly. I did not control the creature. I simply treated it with respect, and it chose not to harm me. There is a big difference. Commander Thexel, who had been silent until now, stepped forward. Mr. Park, the military, has studied Thanix Reapers for decades. They are classified as a maximum threat species. Yet you interacted with one like it was a domestic animal. How is this possible? Because I did not treat it like a threat, Deho replied. I treated it like a living being. On my world, we believe that every creature has a purpose. Even dangerous ones deserve respect. The room was quiet as everyone thought about this. Many alien species had evolved on safe worlds where predators were rare. The idea of respecting a deadly creature was foreign to them. Professor Veltar activated a holographic display showing brain scans of the Thanix Reaper. These readings were taken during the incident. Notice the neural activity patterns here. He pointed to specific areas. This is not the brain activity of a mindless killer. This shows curiosity, decision-making, and even what might be enjoyment. Dr. Yun added more data to the display. The creature's stress hormones were actually lower during its interaction with Deho than they are in normal containment. It was relaxed, not agitated. A new voice spoke from the back of the room. This is fascinating research. Everyone turned to see an elderly Kethtar with silver markings on his blue skin. Students immediately stood up in respect. Dean Talveth, Professor Veltar said with surprise. I did not expect you to attend this discussion. When a human student has a peaceful interaction with a Thanic's Reaper, I must see for myself, the dean replied. He walked to the front of the room and studied Deho carefully. Young human, you have challenged everything we thought we knew about one of the galaxy's most dangerous species. I just tried to understand it, sir, Deho said. Understanding, the dean repeated. Yes, that is the key, is it not? We have studied these creatures for years, but we never tried to understand them. We only tried to contain them. Crixon, a senior Kethtar researcher, raised his hand. Dean Talveth, if Mr. Park's observations are correct, it could change how we study all dangerous species. Instead of approaching them as threats, we could try to understand their natural behavior. Exactly, the dean said. Mr. Park, how would you suggest we modify our research protocols? Deho felt nervous being asked such an important question. Well, sir, on my world, we always watch animals in their natural environment first. We learn their normal behavior before we try to study them up close. Maybe we could create environments that make the creatures feel safe, not trapped. Interesting, Dr. Yun said from the screen. Most of our containment systems are designed to prevent escape, not to provide comfort. What if we created habitats that met the creatures' natural needs? Professor Veltar looked excited. We could observe their natural behaviors instead of their stress responses. This could revolutionize xenobiology. Nixara made a thoughtful crystal sound. But would this not make the research more dangerous? If creatures are comfortable, they might be more active. Not necessarily, Deho replied. Happy animals are usually calmer than stressed animals. A Thanic's Reaper in a comfortable environment might be easier to study than one in a prison cell. Dean Talveth nodded slowly. Mr. Park, I would like to propose something. Would you be willing to work with our research teams as a consultant? Your Deathworld perspective could be invaluable. The room buzzed with excitement. Students who had been afraid of Deho that morning were now looking at him with respect and admiration. I would be honored, sir, Deho said, but I am just a student. I do not have any special training. You have something more valuable than training, the dean replied. You have instinct and experience. You know how to coexist with dangerous life forms. Jinwoo, who had been quiet through most of the discussion, finally spoke up. Daiho saved my life today. When I panicked, he stayed calm. When everyone else ran, he stayed to help. That is what humans do. Oh, Minji smiled. Humans are not monsters. We are survivors. We learned long ago that the best way to survive dangerous things is to understand them, not fight them. Professor Veltar looked around the room. This incident has taught us all something important. We have been judging species by our fears, not by their actions. Mr. Park showed us that even the most dangerous creature can be approached with wisdom and respect. Commander Thexel added, from a security perspective, this changes everything. If dangerous creatures can be managed through understanding rather than force, it could save many lives. The dean raised his hand for silence. I hereby authorize a new research program. We will study dangerous species using Mr. Park's approach. Instead of treating them as threats to be contained, we will try to understand them as intelligent beings to be respected. The room erupted in excited conversations. Students from different species began talking to each other about the implications. Some were worried about the dangers, but most were excited about the possibilities. As the meeting ended, Deho found himself surrounded by students asking questions. For the first time since arriving at the academy, he felt like he belonged. How did you know it would not attack? One student asked. I did not know, Deho admitted. But I knew that showing fear would definitely make it attack. So I chose to show respect instead. That evening, Kim Sora found Deho in his room, studying for his next classes. You did something important today, she said. You changed how people see humans. I just did what felt right, Deho replied. That is exactly why it was important. You showed them that humans use wisdom, not violence. You proved that coming from a death world does not make us monsters. It makes us survivors who understand life in ways others cannot. Deho looked out his window at the stars. Somewhere out there was his home planet, with its dangerous animals and his family's farm. He had always thought it was a hard place to live. Now he realized it had taught him something valuable that he could share with the galaxy. 3 weeks after the incident with the Thanix Reaper, the Galactic Academy was a different place. Students who had once whispered Deathworlder with fear now said it with respect. Deho found himself invited to study groups and asked for advice on dangerous organism research. The new research program was already showing results. Working with Deho's guidance, Professor Veltar's team had successfully created more natural environments for several dangerous species. Instead of sterile, containment cells, creatures now lived in habitats that matched their homeworlds. The difference is remarkable, Dr. Yun explained during a video conference with the class. The Void Stalkers are actually displaying social behavior we never knew they had. The crystal borers are creating art-like patterns in their environment. Even the plasma worms seem calmer and more cooperative. Deho stood before the class, no longer the nervous newcomer but a respected member of the academic community. When creatures feel safe, they show their true nature, he said. We were studying their fear responses, not their real behavior. Jinwoo had become Deho's closest friend and study partner. The Helix student was still nervous around dangerous creatures, but he had learned to trust his human friend's instincts. Deho taught me that courage is not about not being afraid, Jinwoo said. It is about doing what is right even when you are afraid. Nix Ara, the crystal student who had once questioned having a human in class, now worked closely with Deho on several projects. I was wrong about humans, she admitted during one study session. I thought being from a death world meant you were violent. But it actually means you understand life better than those of us from safe worlds. The Academy's new approach to dangerous organism research was attracting attention from across the galaxy. Universities, research stations, and even military organizations were requesting copies of the new protocols. Commander Thexel had become an unexpected ally. From a security perspective, Mr. Park's methods are far superior to traditional containment, he reported to the Academy administration. We have had 0 containment breaches since implementing the new habitat systems. Creatures that are comfortable do not try to escape. Dean Talveth called Deho to his office one morning. The old Kethtar's study was filled with books, research papers, and specimens from across the galaxy. Sit down, Mr. Park, the dean said kindly. I have something important to discuss with you. Deho took a seat, wondering if he had done something wrong. The Galactic Academy has received requests from 47 different institutions, the dean continued. They all want human consultants for their dangerous species research programs. That is good news, sir? Very good news. It means that humans are no longer seen as dangerous primitives from death worlds. They are seen as valuable partners who understand life in ways others cannot. The dean smiled. You have changed how the galaxy views your entire species. I just try to be helpful, sir, Exactly. And that is what makes this so significant. You did not try to prove human superiority or dominance. You simply shared your knowledge and perspective. That is true wisdom. The dean activated a holographic display showing communication logs from across the galaxy. Look at these messages. The Centauri Research Institute wants human advisors for their predator studies. The Vegan Science Academy is requesting human graduate students. Even the Andromedan military wants to learn human survival techniques. Deho looked at the long list of requests with amazement. Are there enough humans to help with all of these? That is part of what I wanted to discuss. The Academy is proposing a new exchange program. We will train humans in advanced xenobiology, and they will share their Deathworld perspectives with the galaxy. You would be the first instructor in this new program. Me? But I am still a student myself. You are a student in advanced sciences, but you are already a master in understanding dangerous life. The galaxy needs teachers like you. That evening, Deho called his parents on their farming colony. The communication delay meant each conversation took several minutes, but his family was proud to hear about his success. We always knew you were special, his mother said through the static. But we never imagined you would teach the galaxy about our way of life. Our way of life is not special, Mother, Deho replied. We just learned to respect the world we live in. That, his father said, is exactly what makes it special. As the semester continued, Deho found himself working on increasingly important projects. He helped design new containment protocols for military research stations. He advised civilian scientists on safe observation techniques. He even worked with diplomatic teams who were making first contact with dangerous species. The most rewarding project was a collaboration with Ominji to create a guide for young alien students who were afraid of dangerous creatures. They called it Understanding Fear, a Deathworlder's Guide to Coexistence. Fear is natural, they wrote in the introduction. Every living being fears what might harm them, but fear should teach us to be careful, not to be hateful. When we understand what we fear, we can learn to coexist with it. The guide became required, reading at 17 different academic institutions. One day, Professor Veltar made a special announcement to the class. I have received permission to attempt something that has never been done before. We are going to try direct communication with a Thanix Reaper. The students looked excited and nervous. Working with dangerous creatures had become normal, but actually communicating with them was still new territory. Mr. Park will lead the project, the professor continued. We have prepared a specialized communication chamber where he can safely interact with the creature using translation technology. The day of the communication attempt, representatives from across the galaxy watched via video link. The Thanix Reaper was awake and alert in its new habitat, which looked like a natural forest from its homeworld. Deho entered the communication chamber wearing minimal protective gear. The translation device would convert his words into sounds and chemical signals the creature could understand. Hello again, he said to the Thanix Reaper. Do you remember me? The creature moved closer to the transparent barrier between them. Through the translation system, its response came back as, Calm hunter, not prey, strange pack leader. The watching scientists gasped. It was the first time anyone had successfully communicated with a Thanix Reaper. I am Deho. What is your name? Hunt in Shadow. Question. Why Calm Hunter speaks to Hunt in Shadow? Because I want to understand you. My species learns by talking and sharing knowledge. The conversation continued for over an hour. Hunt in Shadow described its home world, its hunting patterns, and its species' social structure. It explained that Thanix Reapers were not mindless killers but sophisticated hunters who lived in complex family groups. Most other species smell of fear death when they see Hunt in Shadow, the creature explained. Fear death makes Hunt in Shadow want to hunt, but calm hunter smells of respect curiosity. This makes Hunt in Shadow want to learn. By the end of the session, xenobiologists across the galaxy had learned more about Thanix Reapers than they had in decades of previous research. Dr. Yun was practically speechless. This changes everything we know about predator species. They are not just intelligent, they are sophisticated social beings with complex emotional lives. As the semester ended, Dae-ho received his final grades. He had earned top marks in all his classes, but more importantly, he had earned the respect and friendship of students from across the galaxy. At the graduation ceremony, Dean Talveth made a special announcement. This year, we are creating a new honorary degree, Master of Interspecies Understanding. The first recipient is Park Dae-ho, who taught us that wisdom comes not from fearlessness, but from the courage to understand what we fear. As Dae-ho accepted the honor, he looked out at the audience of alien students and faculty who had become his friends. Jin-woo was in the front row, whistling proudly in the Helix way of showing appreciation. Nixara's crystal body played a beautiful congratulatory song. Oh Minji smiled from the human section, where several dozen new human exchange students sat. In his acceptance speech, Dae-ho said, "I learned something important here at the Academy. Every species, no matter how different or dangerous they might seem, has something valuable to teach us. Humans are not special because we survive dangerous worlds. We are special because those worlds taught us that all life deserves respect and understanding." After the ceremony, Kim So-ra found Dae-ho packing his belongings. "Are you ready to become a teacher?" "I think so," Dae-ho replied. "But I will always remember that I am still learning too." "That," she said with a smile, "is what will make you a great teacher." As his transport ship prepared to leave for his new assignment at the Galactic Institute for Advanced Studies, Dae-ho looked back at the academy that had changed his life. He had arrived as a nervous farm boy from a dangerous world. He was leaving as a bridge between species, helping the galaxy understand that different did not mean dangerous, and that wisdom could be found in the most unexpected places. The galaxy was learning that humans were not the monsters from death worlds they had feared. They were teachers, friends, and partners who could help all species understand the complex and beautiful universe they shared.